Okay, so I've got everything back in working order at this point, and I'm just going to do a quick wrap up to explain everything, and hopefully everyone will have a good idea of how to do this after all my mistakes. Okay, so first things first, this tool is a lifesaver. So 24 millimeter crowfoot, you put it on the end of your socket like this, okay, and from underneath you can take the high pressure hose off of the power steering pump, okay? And another tip is, the way I was doing it originally was, I was first taking the bolt off behind the high pressure line, and then removing the high pressure line. That is so difficult. It takes like half an hour to get that upper bolt off of the power steering pump, because it's you can't get in there with your hand. And you know, the only thing that I could use was this like mini tiny 10 millimeter, and like do like quarter turns to get it out, and it was miserable. However, after having taken it in and out 4 times now, the way to do it is use this on the end, like so it goes like this, okay? And then take the high pressure line off first, and then you get full access to all the bolts, and you just zip them off with a gun, okay? So I can now probably remove a power steering pump in like less than 15 minutes. Okay, so but the trick is this: crowfoot, take the high pressure line off first. Okay, I mean, I'm assuming you've drained the system already and you've taken the low pressure hose off the reservoir already. But so, you know, the next step is you take off the air conditioning compressor, and then take off the wheel on the front of the pump, and then you get access to the high pressure line. Take the high pressure line off first, and then all your bolts are accessible. It comes off super easy, okay? And it's no problem. You don't have to mess around with anything. And putting it back on is the same way. Put all your bolts in first, put the high pressure line on last, and tighten it with, you can do it all the way almost to tight, just with your fingers. And then the last little bit, you can tighten it with the crowfoot. And it's the easiest way to get it off and on. Okay, so that's tip number 1. That's a huge, huge time saver if you're doing this. Okay, the other tip that I found was, okay, so I ruined one gasket here because, well, I was kind of an idiot. I put it in the wrong groove on the high pressure line attachment, okay? I'm gonna stitch in a picture of where it goes. So there's 2 grooves at the top of the high pressure line, okay? It does not go on the lower groove. It goes on the upper groove right next to the flange, okay? So if not, this is what happens to it, okay? And that caused me to pull it out and disassemble it once already. Okay, so that's tip number 1. So after fixing that, no leaks, everything good, but still no pressure, okay? So the other thing was, I suspected it was this O-ring, okay? So this is an internal ring. It separates the high pressure side from the low pressure side inside the pump. The original one, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but this one is round, okay? The original one was kind of like, if you looked at it, it was like a D shape. If you looked at it from the side, it was kind of like a D shape, so it was flat on one side and rounded on the other, okay? So I think that's how it's supposed to be, and this one just is the incorrect one. So if you're getting this, I recommend you do not change this one unless you really have to. That caused me the problem. So that was another, you know, install, reinstall, rebuild, bleed the system. I mean, this took me like 2 freaking days. Anyway, hopefully it won't take you that. So don't replace this one if you get this kit, because I think it's wrong, okay? So I put the factory one back in, and that worked no problem, okay? I will tell you that the leak in mine, anyway, these are the factory ones. So this was the low pressure line. I replaced that first in my first video, and that didn't solve the leak. So I replaced this one, and this did solve the leak. This is definitely where it was leaking, and this fits perfectly, no problems. This is a good seal. But again, this one here, I wouldn't trust it, okay? Because I had to, after, you know, trying to figure out, like, I mean, like, it's so simple. You saw the video. It's literally like, it's 2 halves, and there's like there's this guy and another seal, and then this one. Like, how simple can it be? Like, what can go wrong, right? Well, I think it was this. So after I replaced this with the factory one and put it all back together again, I now have like instant pressure. Everything's working fine. Good power steering, no problem. The last thing I would recommend is make sure you bleed your system well. So the procedure is after you fill the tank, okay, you have to get both wheels off the ground, and then don't turn the car on, just turn the key to the point where you can move the steering wheel, and go back and forth all the way left, all the way right, like at least 20 times, and you'll hear it squirting. If it's quiet enough anyway, you'll hear it squirting air into your reservoir, okay? And then turn the car on, let it run for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then again, lock to lock another like 20 times, okay? And that will get the air bleeded out pretty good. I didn't have really any problems with air, but I wanted to get a good bleed because I wanted to eliminate that as the cause for my problem. But anyway, I think this was it. Do not replace this one. If you have any questions or anything, put them in the comment. I think I am like university educated on removing the power steering pump in a 2006 Mazda Tribute at this point. I've done it 4 or 5 times in the span of 2 days. So any questions, let me know, and hopefully this is helpful for someone else.